Most men would never have their fair share of women. Most men will never be considered sexually attractive. Now, I understand genetics play a role, but a lot of guys, they like to play the blame game and say it's all genetics. They like to have the black pill mindset. I'm screwed. I wasn't blessed. But they aren't even maximizing what they have. And when you look at it, there's 4 main reasons why a lot of these guys are struggling in dating. And today we are talking about it. Y'all know the deal. Is Basically BO, aka Cole Brown Official. Let's get right into it. So one of the first reasons why a lot of guys are suffering in dating and it will never get better is they are too comfortable. They never push themselves. And I always see this, man. All the guys that truly suffer in dating, you look at their habits, it's video games, it's pornography, it's all this different stuff. Boy, you don't have to really put any risk into it. You don't have to challenge yourself. You don't have to do something that scares you. You're in your room, comfortable in your bed, playing the video game. You're in your bedroom, chilling, stroking your meat. When if you went out in the real world, instead of playing Madden, you went out and played football, you would learn more skills. And this is something I'm very thankful for. From my mom, man. My mom, she always had me playing football, soccer, always had me doing something. And she always pushed us to go outside. You know, I was outside almost every single day growing up. Every single day we was outside. We was playing King of the Hill. We was playing basketball. We was playing dodgeball. Whatever it may have been, we was racing. We was digging holes. We was running around the neighborhood, going into the forest, riding the bike. We were always doing something. And see, this is something a lot of kids lack. So they just so pussified. They're so scared of everything. And this is going to make you struggle as a man, because how is a woman supposed to look at you and feel comfortable when you're not comfortable with yourself? You're not comfortable with yourself because you've never been through trials and tribulations. No, you just been through these little missions on the video game. Well, worst case scenario isn't that bad. Everything's about just getting quick, easy dopamine. So stop living such a comfortable life. You know, and I hear a lot of guys complain about, oh, women like the bad boys, but it's like, well, the bad boys, they tend to be outside. The bad boys, they tend to take risks. They tend to have more confidence in themselves. They tend to have more belief in themselves. So I don't think it's per se the woman just likes the bad boys. She likes certain traits in the bad boys that a lot of the nice guys lack. Because a lot of the nice guys, they stay inside, they play video games, and they don't have any true hobbies. They don't do much. A lot of nice guys are like that. You know, so that's definitely one of the first reasons why a lot of men will struggle in dating is they are too comfortable. You have never got out your comfort zone. So even talking to a woman, it's like the scariest thing in the world, because anytime you had the desire to lay down with the woman or talk to a woman or anything interacting with women, you just went to the Pornhub. You just went to these pornography sites. And I understand. I've been there. I'm speaking from experience. And that's what I'm saying. I'm so thankful that my mom put me in sports and made me get out more, because, dog, I truly would have been screwed if I didn't play sports and I didn't put myself out there more. You know, because I grew up with that speech impediment. So I was very timid. I was very shy. You know, I was extremely shy, man. Like, there was days I go to school and I wouldn't say a single word. And that's why when I see brothers like, oh, I'm screwed, I'm cooked, and all this other stuff, oh, I'm socially weird, like they just lost all types of hopes. I'm like, my brother, if I did it, I promise you can do it. I was that kid that went to school and didn't say a word the whole day. Scared to talk to anybody, let alone just, you know, a lot of guys, they scared to talk to women. I'm like, I was scared to talk to everybody at school. So if I can do it, I promise you can do it. So that's one of the first things. Stop trying to be so comfortable, dog. And this world just keeps getting more comfortable. You have to embrace the struggle. You have to embrace the challenge. Next point is lack of self-awareness and lack of self-focus. And I think a lot of guys, they don't focus on themselves. You know, and even when it comes to being more sexually attractive, you're not even focused on what you got to do. You're just going to look at these guys like King 6'8" guy on Instagram, and you're going to be like, oh, I'm not that tall. Oh, I'm screwed. I lost all hope. You're not even focused on yourself. You going on Instagram, on YouTube, looking at these guys on PEDs, on all these different type of drugs, and you comparing yourself to them. So that's making you lose hope. Now, there's nothing wrong with following influencers and stuff like that. You know, I definitely do. I definitely got influenced by different people. But don't let that discourage you from your path, from your trials. You know, I think a lot of guys, they get too caught up in looking at this other guy, and now they're not even in touch with reality anymore. And this is kind of happening, man. Like, when people look at me and they're like, oh, Cole, your physique's weak. You're not that swole. You don't look that good. And it's like, well, you've been looking at all these people online. that are on the juice. We've been looking at all these people online that take 1,000 photos and post one photo, and then they Photoshop it. They find all these different filters. You looking at all these different people online. So now you have a very skewed perspective. Even when it comes to a lot of these women, dog. I've talked to a lot of women, especially a girl, Mac and Cheese girl. I remember she told me she doesn't do social media. And she like, I could just feel it making me have anxiety and make me insecure and all this other stuff. And I said, I can see that. Because when you look at a lot of these women online, they take 1,000 photos, get one good photo. They get one or two good photos. They might Photoshop it. A lot of these women, they get BBL. They got all these surgeries and all this goofy shit. And the funny thing is, it might look good in the photo. You know, I done see some chicks on Instagram and their bodies be crazy. But then you look at that BBL in real life and you like, that thing look a little lopsided. That thing look kind of weird. That thing don't even sit right. So a lot of this stuff online isn't what it seems, dog. So I'm telling you guys, don't let these super sexually attractive men online discourage you and make you feel like you're not that guy, man. Like I said, the people that come at me like, Cole, you're not all that. And it's just like, in real life, hey, I didn't experience some beautiful things in real life, you know? So y'all can say what y'all want, but I might not be this super pretty boy type archetype. But it's like, I still know I'm attractive to pull women. And I think a lot of guys, like I said, they either go overboard or they think they're just completely screwed. Like, there's an in-between. You need to work on your looks. You need to get your grooming done and beautiful stuff like that. But you don't need to be obsessed with that shit. You know, there's still so much more life than just trying to look good all the time. You know, and that's why I was telling you guys, like, a lot of guys would say, oh, Cole, body game's not all that important and stuff. And I'm like, it's not even about the looking good. It's about the process of becoming healthy and doing shit that scares you, doing shit that's uncomfortable. That's the most important skill. Next, the next point, this is very important, is not thinking for yourself. I will push y'all in a certain direction, but I don't really try to give people cookie cutter advice. Like, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I get it, like, for my YouTube channel, it probably would be good if I just came on here with a whole bunch of energy and be like, oh, if you don't do this, then you're this type of guy, and you need to get this, and just start yelling. You know, sometimes I might get a little piped up, you know, sometimes I might be feeling myself. But the vast majority of times, I'm just trying to push y'all in the right direction, or I'm trying to ask you questions that gets your brain going, makes you start asking yourself questions. You know, when I go online, y'all seen I critique certain people, but I critique those people because I've seen a lot of people, they'll give advice and you can see they're not happy themselves. That's one. A lot of times if I see somebody that's not happy, but they're online giving advice, I might critique. And then another time, if I see someone giving advice and they had a very different route than the average person, I'm like, that's not good advice. But it's like some people like, oh, you're a goofball, you're hating, you're a clown, all this other stuff. But if you don't work your skills, it starts to atrophy. You know, if you don't work something, it starts to atrophy. So when I critique a top tier man, and I'll say something like, you know, you shouldn't take a year off dating. That's an important skill. 103 men are really going through it when it comes to dating. So I say, you know, you shouldn't take a year off dating because that's already a skill a lot of these men aren't working. This is the loneliest generation ever. And then I have guys in my comment section like, oh, you're a hater, you're a clown, you're a joke, you're this, you're that. And it's like, argue the point though. But see, a lot of guys are coping and they don't know themselves. They never took a couple steps back and looked at themselves and said, am I actually doing what I want to do? Or am I just listening to this guy online? And it might have worked for him, but if I do go down the same route as him, let's say I'm a truck driver. If I go down the same route as him and take a year off dating, how would that affect me? You got to use your brain, man. You got to use your brain. And it's like, a lot of people don't want to use their brains nowadays. A lot of people, they want to get distracted the whole day. They never want to have any type of silence. They're listening to music all day. They're using AI for everything in school, for everything at work, whatever they do. They aren't using their brains at all. Dog, take a couple steps back and look at your life. Look at what fits you. Now, I'm not saying like guys like Top Tier Man and them don't give some good advice. I'm sure they do. But sometimes you got to be able to reflect on it, man. And I've had mentors. I paid for consultations. You know, I've met guys in the space. And I learned a lot from people online. But then there was times where I was like, okay, that's not going to work for me, though. That worked for him, but that's not going to work for me, though. But we are two different people. And you can learn certain things from people. You know, take a couple of things from certain people, spice it up a little bit, add your own little flair to it. You feel me? And then you can leave a lot of the stuff that doesn't relate to you. But a lot of guys, you don't want to think for yourself. You want things that you don't even truly want. I've told this story a long time ago. One of my best friends, knew him since about 9th grade. He went and bought a Hellcat. Brother's doing good for himself. And he said, after he bought the Hellcat, he took it back after like 3-4 months. And he was like, man, I didn't even want that Hellcat for real. He like, I just feel like all the music I listen to, like, just made me feel like I had to have it. You know, I always seen people talking about Hellcats, and then I hear it in the music, and I bought it, but then I realized I really don't even want it. And see, a lot of you guys want certain things that you don't truly want. You just see someone else with something nice, and now you're like, oh, I want that. But you really don't want it. Like, you really gotta stay alone for a little bit. You know, everybody's talking about semen retention and, oh, I'm avoiding dating and stuff like that. I'm not for the avoiding dating, the MGTOW stuff, but I'm for the, you know, take a day or two for yourself. Go out in nature. Go be by yourself a little bit. Not to say you shouldn't interact with people, but every now and then go by yourself and really reflect on what you want out of this life. Because so many people are chasing things they don't truly want because they see the next man got it. You know, so really start thinking for yourself, man. Stop being such a monkey see, monkey do. You know? And I fell into that trap. There's been times I would think about getting a certain type of car because my friends had certain cars, and it's just like, I don't really need that though, you know? Not to say you shouldn't splurge on yourself every now and then and go have fun, but I'm saying really sit down and think about something before you so quick to spend your money, before you so quick to listen to certain advice. Really think about it. Okay, if I do this, how does it affect me? Because like I said, you could take a year off dating, but like anything in this world, man, you don't use it, you lose it, atrophy. You know, if you don't use those social skills, you're gonna get worse. And you need to be real with yourself, man. A lot of people are lying to themselves. Like, I could make a YouTube channel where a lot of people will like it because I would help them in their coping, but I'm not going for that. I want to actually help you change, dog, because I went through that shit. I went through that shit when I was coping. I was watching a lot of pornography, and I was just, you know, these girls trash. Oh, there's no good women out here. But really, that was just my cop out. Really, I was scared to talk to women, so I'm just like, let me just stroke my meat. You know, I was copping out. And last but not least, is work on skills that build your confidence. Like I said, you don't use it, you lose it. This kind of overlaps with the last point. All of these really overlap, honestly. And that's why I always talk about the body game, because the body game can overlap a lot of this stuff. You know, when you go hard in some type of training that scares you, that's not comfortable, you have to learn to get uncomfortable. Do a training, do a skill that really is gonna build your confidence. You know, and that's what the gym did for me. That's what doing CrossFit did for me. Doing all these different stuff that I'm not used to doing. Playing all these different sports, getting to know people, dog, that really changed my life. And if any of you guys have kids, put your kids in sports. Put your kids in some type of sports, because I promise you, that can completely change somebody. And I've noticed it. You know, when a girl I meet plays a sport or never played a sport, there's a huge difference. I promise you, when I meet a girl that has played sports growing up, and then I meet a girl that had never played sports, it's like night and day, dog. There's a huge difference a lot of times. That's why I prefer chicks that more, you know, on the athletic side. Because playing sports teach you so much growing up, man. You know, and one of the best lessons I learned was when I was like busting my ass for football, dog. My senior year, nothing went my way. I quit football, ran track, because they were promising me 20 carries a game. Next, you know, they put me at fullback, and I'm getting like 2 or 3 carries a game. I'm just blocking defensive ends. I'm blocking the middle linebacker the whole game. I'm like, man, this shit that go catch me on the track. I'll, you know, start running track. I pull my hamstring. And I remember when I talked to my dad, he was like, you know, that's life. You can do everything right and still lose. And, you know, I was really blessed to learn that lesson at 17, man. Because I think a lot of people, they go through hard times and they can't make it through because they're like, man, I did everything right and I still lost. Yeah, that's life. And that's when it comes to women. That's when it comes to a sport. That's when it comes to your job. Dog, you could show up every day at the job, do a great job, and they still might fire you. I had that happen to me too. When I was a forklift driver, dog, I showed up every single day on time. Oh man, this other guy, he don't want to do his job. What you need me to do, boss? Throw me in there. Well, usually we don't throw guys in there. I say, whatever you want me to do, I get the job done. Do it. Boom. Couple weeks later, I got fired because of COVID. So I was doing everything right and I still got fired. The same thing with sports. I was doing everything right. Pull my hamstring. Boom. You know, but that's a lesson I had to learn, man. And I think a lot of guys, they don't know how to take the L. You don't know how to take the L and turn it into a lesson. And that's going to determine what type of man you are. Like, it's cool to improve your looks and looks max and all that stuff to a certain extent. But the type of man is really gonna be determined by how you move once you take that L. And some of you guys are too afraid to even take an L that you're not even living life. You want women to be attracted to you. You want your fair share of women, but you're not even goddamn leaving the house. What's it like? Why would a woman want you? You gotta be honest with yourself. You gotta be able to take a couple steps back and be like, why would a woman want me? I'm extremely afraid to talk to a woman, and I think a woman's gonna be super attracted to me. Now, some women, they might like a shy guy a little bit, but it's like, come on. You gotta do the shit that scares you. That's where the growth comes from. And even when you do everything right, you can still take that L, dog. So going through it again. Stop being so comfortable. A lot of these guys are never gonna be sexually attractive because they live cooped up in their house. Anytime something scares you, you just back away. And then you complain that the chick likes the bad boy, but it's like, well, most of these guys that are nice guys, they soft as hell. Next point. You lack self-focus, you lack self-awareness. Like I said, a lot of guys don't get started in the self-improvement journey because they're too busy looking at this Giga Chad and they're like, oh, I'll never be that guy, man. And then they just glaze the hell out of that guy and then complain that they're not him. Are you wishing you were somebody else, dog? If you got all your limbs, you in a country that has internet and Wi-Fi and you got clean water and you got food, dog, make the most out of this shit, man. You get this one life and you focus on wishing you were somebody else. That's the goofiest shit ever, man. Then next is not thinking for yourself. Like I said, a lot of brothers, man, you turn your brain off. You turn your brain off. You got this TikTok brain. Dog, take a break from social media every now and then. You know, I stay on social media a good bit, but also I take a break from it sometimes because I need time to think for myself. You know, even when I drive a truck now, man, for my work. I deliver tires. And sometimes I'll just ride around with nothing playing. Sometimes you need that time alone with quietness to really reflect on your thoughts and really think about what you really want out of this life. Because a lot of you guys are never in that silence at all. People talk about semen retention, all this stuff, but you still playing video games all day. You still listening to music all day. You're still distracted 24/7. But you want to talk about semen retention? Like, no, actually spend time by yourself. Go out in nature and really reflect on your life and what do you want out of this life. And last but not least, man, is work on the skills that improve your confidence. That's all I got for y'all today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch y'all boys in the next one. We just hit 5K. I appreciate all the support. Catch y'all boys in the next one.